So that whole thing with Sargon, VidCon, and Anita happened, and you'd probably guessed what I have to say about it because everybody else has already talked about it. I wasn't originally going to, but then I kinda just went through a backlog of everything about Anita and everything like that, and I had to say something. You probably know what I'm going to say, but fuck it. So to recap, there was that VidCon meetup with a bunch of people, and they were all shitlords, or some variety of that, the fruit bowl as I call them. And they were just going around doing their thing, and then they went to a panel with Anita in it. They sat at the front because the room was empty, so why not? Like, wouldn't you just go sit somewhere that's available? And then Anita, as unprofessional as she is, decided to single out a single member of the shitlord group, just a random member of the audience for everyone else that was there, and decided to just call him a garbage human and stuff like that. Now that was just something respectful, like, if you want to hear what somebody else has to say, then you just go and listen to them. It doesn't matter if they agree with you or not, you just go and listen to them, that's the point. She keeps talking about harassers and trolls and how they never listen to her, but then when they actually go to listen to her, she thinks that that's harassment. She doesn't care if they know what her opinion is, she just wants to sell her victimhood to the people who already follow her. She's not interested in talking to anyone else, whatsoever, and you already know this, but I just kinda wanted to vent that. And then Boogie2988 went to the panel as well, like another panel, and he did say that he had privilege and everything, which I disagree with as well because of the whole like white privilege and all that sort of stuff. See, part of me thinks that he was saying that more than he meant it just because he had so much anxiety for that. Honestly, a lot of people are giving him shit for that, but I don't blame him. Like with my anxiety, if I knew I was going to be on a panel with someone who just completely didn't care about any sort of professionalism and just would shit all over people blatantly, I would probably have been a bit overly cordial, I suppose. But anyway, after that, what he said was just, we should stop recognizing harassment as just a woman's problem, like just an intersectional feminist problem or whatever, just recognize that it happens to everyone, like it's happened to him. And he demonstrated that by just talking about his own experiences. And to me, he doesn't seem too privileged after hearing what he's been through. And then apparently Anita just told him that that was fucked up to say. Like, the idea that everyone can go through harassment because we're all human beings, so we all have the potential to be assholes and have people be assholes to us, that's apparently fucked up to say. So anything outside of women are victims, we have to give them more stuff, is apparently fucked up to say. Now you can see why I am personally annoyed by that, because I don't want special treatment. I don't need special treatment that especially comes at stripping away rights from other people just because I'm a vagina. Now obviously VidCon, Hank Green and whatnot just treated Anita like the victim as per usual, as with everything that happens with her. Which is obviously exactly what she wanted. You probably made a bunch more money as well, which is, weirdly enough, always what happens whenever she gets harassed. But that's some other thing that I want to talk about some other time. And before I go on about other stuff about her, I just want to say this. As someone who's kind of looked through all of the stuff that Hank Green and all of them said about it, they just, all the stupid waffling shit about how they want it to be safer and for people who are in the diverse kind of area to feel safer. So as someone who is a non-white female, a woman of color, I'm in that demographic, so I want to tell you guys at VidCon, I do not feel safe ever thinking about attending VidCon after that. You, despite your efforts to say you're doing the otherwise, make me feel the opposite. Because when I go to an event, I want people in charge that actually follow their own rules. I think VidCon is coming to Melbourne at some point, and even if I was thinking of going, even if I could remotely afford to go, I don't think that I really would unless I was going with a group of people. Because obviously I disagree with Anita, and she has demonstrated that she has no professionalism, and everyone who disagrees with her will get abused if they show up. So if Anita was at that panel, then I would not want to go. I would not want to be in the same building that she is, because I know that I would just feel like a target. Not only that, but just in general, I don't know what guests you invite because you clearly don't care about any screening process or anything like that. You don't care about professionalism at all. You don't care about anything as long as they're with the same ideology that you are. As long as you look like you're being progressive. So with that being said, why would I want to show up? I would just be scared that you would just let someone who has your ideology openly abuse anyone that's around me or even me myself if I made an objection. So as someone who would fall under the diverse category that you so want to show up at VidCon and who every progressive loves to have in their event to make them more progressive, fuck you.
Motherfucker.
So back to Anita. Obviously this entire video isn't just about the VidCon thing, it's obviously stuff that I haven't really spoken about because I haven't really done a video on her. So I guess the most major thing is just how annoying it is that she pretends that games alienate people in my demographic, and she pretends that she's for people in my demographic, that she speaks for me. I just want to say this first up, you already know I'm gonna say this, but Anita will never speak for me. I grew up with games, I love them. I've never really met anyone in that kind of community that's made me feel like I shouldn't be there just because of my skin color and my gender. Never. The fact that she would think that I'm so fragile if she just looked at me because of what I am and not who I am just shows how bigoted she is. Obviously everyone knows that she doesn't actually play the games that she gets the footage for, she just takes it off of someone else or gets some other person who works for her to do it, so she doesn't really know anything about anything with games, honestly. It's as embarrassing as when Brianna Wu pretends to know anything. That's binary, you idiot. And one of the reasons why that makes it even more annoying for me is because I've played many of those games that she picks on quite a lot. Like, I really love Fallout. As you guys know, I'm probably one of the biggest Fallout fangirls you'll ever meet. I love The Legend of Zelda, I love Mario, just all that sort of stuff that she just constantly gets wrong. One of the things that pissed me off the most is when she was talking about Hitman, and she had this idea that the game is supposed to be you killing everyone, which is just not correct in any means. The game specifically tells you that you have to just be really stealthy and kill the person who you have to kill. That's why you're a hitman, that's what the game is about. The more that you just go off killing random people, the more you don't get a good score. And obviously I do play the game just going around killing other people, but that's because that's fun for me. I don't give a shit about playing the game correctly. I might, but I don't usually. But a lot of people do. A lot of people try. You probably see speedruns everywhere. And on top of that, it's just the fact that Anita thinks that seeing women dying in games somehow hurts women. Like, you know those aren't real people, right? You're not like that stupid. I mean, if we look at most games out there, usually a lot of people that you kill in the game are just guys. Like, think about Hitman and how many targets are guys. And the ones that are women, generally you have a lot of kind of softer options to kill them. But there is generally a difference. And anyway, if you really wanted it to be equality, like real equality, then you wouldn't mind if there would be women who could die in the game because there are men who could die in the game. That's equality. You can't just have one group of people and you're like, okay, so they're not allowed to look bad at any point in the game, but the other people can, and the other people should be the bad guys in all parts of the game because that's equality. And I'm more just directing this at other people who want to know what my opinion is of her than her, because I know that she wouldn't ever want to acknowledge that I exist. And what I mean by that is, because I am supposed to be in this victim kind of narrative that she wants to show, like all of the women in the world are just being victims because of all the men, and all the men are the ones that are harassing her. Now harassment obviously means criticism, but anyway, whenever she's like, hey, these are my harassers and stuff like that, she always shows men, because she never wants to acknowledge that there are women out there who really don't like her because they actually don't want to be victims, they don't want to buy into all the stuff that she's trying to do, and if she acknowledged them, then she would have to break this reality that she's trying to make for people, that all women are just these angels who agree with her, and all these men are just scumbags. When she's the scumbag, honestly. I mean, the amount of times that she's gone after Zelda, especially Breath of the Wild, I have plenty of criticisms of Breath of the Wild just on its own, but they don't really have to do with the fact that sexism. It's just about the gameplay itself. One of my favorite critics is Joseph Anderson, and I'll link his review of Breath of the Wild in the description because I quite like what he said about it. But that doesn't really have anything to do with anything that she's saying, it's just the gameplay mechanics, it's just maybe some of the art style and stuff like that. That's a proper criticism. What she's doing isn't criticism, it's whining. I mean, enough people have complained about the fact that she's gotten so much money for this, and yet she barely made any videos, and they look like they have like crappy clip art and things like that on it, and that wouldn't take that long. I'm making my videos off of like a laptop that doesn't work half the time, and whatever the fuck this is. And even I say that I kind of have at least a little bit more structure to it than her. It's not that hard, especially if you aren't really doing anything else. She's not really doing anything else. She keeps talking about how busy she is and everything, but it always connects back to the series that she's doing. She doesn't do anything else. And doing a talk, I mean, you end up just doing the same talk over and over again at some point, and it should kind of come naturally to you. That wouldn't really take that long. I mean, just going back to the panel quickly, you can see that every single question that somebody asked her that was at least asking for a bit of honesty and stuff like that. She just said it was too sexist, she said it was too stupid, like a stupid question, even though she was honestly the one being stupid there. And all of the other fuckers on the panel did the same thing. I don't even know what their names are, but they all suck. Like, somebody asked her if she really believed what she said, and if somebody asked me that, I would have been like, yeah, and then I would have laughed it off as if it was a stupid question. Because it would just be someone asking me that and me going, really? Okay. And I would have just said yes. But she didn't say yes. She just kind of told them to go away, and she told them to remove that person. I mean, the fact that she didn't say yes is just a bit strange to me. Honestly, no, it isn't. Oh, and since we're talking about Hank and John Green, I might as well just put it out there. I'm not really a big fan of John Green's books. I know I'm not just trying to say that to be like, oh, I don't like them because they disagree or anything like that. I just genuinely, I mean, The Fault in Our Stars was okay, and like some, Looking for Alaska, there was the whole thing about the labyrinth, which was alright, like I liked it a bit, but I just find like all of his characters are just, I don't know, it's weird. Like Paper Towns, I read Paper Towns, and it was about challenging the idea of the manic pixie dream girl, so like this person who was this fantastic, like weird quirky woman, and then in reality she was just a person and all that. But even then his characters all seem like gimmicks. Like he's trying so hard to make them quirky and relatable and funny that they end up just being like Zooey Deschanel level of I'm quirky trademark. Like it just doesn't feel real. I can't relate to any of them because they're all just so, they're written so weirdly. It's like I'm not looking at people. I'm just looking at these like walking plot device jokes. Like, look at me and how relatable and funny I am. Look at my writing. It's like he's trying to be Douglas Adams. Like he's trying to write something that was genuinely really fun and like quirky in a good way. Like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy had some really funny stuff in there, but you could actually dissect it and look at it and take something from it, and everyone could take something different from it. It wasn't just like this kind of M. Night Shyamalan ask me what it means kind of thing. Like a lot of the time when people write stuff, they don't bother putting a meaning in. Either that or the meaning is just too ham-fisted, and when they leave the meaning just open like that, they don't put anything in because they don't know what to put in and they're too lazy, but they'll pretend that it's ambiguous when in reality it doesn't mean anything. And then going back to Anita, like even her series, I think, how many episodes did she do of that like women in history series? I remember she did one on, I think it was China or something, and she just got it all wrong. Like I thought that she was just getting the video game thing wrong because she wasn't playing them and she didn't know. I thought that she would at least try with the history thing, and I watched a lot of videos responding to them and showing how blatantly just bullshit she is. She'll always just try and make all the women look like all the men are nefarious and they're like the super strong like ninjas who just go around and smash the patriarchy with their high heels, and they're obviously saints who have done nothing wrong. And then in reality, they're just an interesting figure who's done bad things and good things, and you could genuinely learn from them as a person. The thing that I dislike the most about the way that Anita is trying to portray women that she finds like well-written women is that they aren't people. They aren't people at all. They're like deities in a way. Now again, this is kind of weird writing kind of complaining that I do because I am a reader and I really suck at writing, but I write anyway. So this is more of a nitpick from that standpoint, as well as kind of tying into when I was making those criticisms about feminist kind of minded writing of characters and things. But they're not people. The thing that you're doing is you're putting them so high above everyone because you want to like continuously overly push the fight the patriarchy thing. I mean, there's the whole empowering women thing, which I guess you could take away what you want from that. You could say like they're just trying to empower someone to be more than they can because they're being pushed down. But then if you do it so much that they just kind of rise above everyone else, you make this deity-like figure that no one can relate to. So you're making women just not look human because you're making them look like they're more than that and no one can relate to them. That is one of the dangers of overpowering your characters and also just not knowing what you're doing. And another thing from that is just how impossible those standards are. Like, she wants a woman to be feminine, and she'll say like, okay, this woman needs to show she's a woman. But then when you make the character sit down, let's say, she would sit down in a feminine way, and then Anita would be like, stop sexualizing her. As if showing that you're feminine means that you're automatically just fully sexualized in every way, which is really odd. But then if you change it and make her sit like a man, then she'll complain about how it's too manly, and a tough woman shouldn't be a man, a tough woman should just be a tough woman, but she don't want to explain what that looks like. And I noticed that a lot. It's like, it's impossible standards, and the only reason that it is because they want to complain about everything because you are not like them. If you agree with them, then it's fine. But if you don't agree with them, nothing you do is okay. And that's honestly one of the most annoying things, to have someone like Anita, especially someone who claims that they speak for people like me. I mean, she's gone after so many games already, but Anita, if you go after Spyro the Dragon, fight me. But yeah, I don't really see myself responding to her as much because everything that she says is bullshit, and it would take me so long to pick apart some stuff in her video, and a million other people would just have done it immediately. I never really felt like there was a point. So I just decided to kind of wrap it up here in one video to kind of give you my whole thoughts about it. So my thoughts weren't very eloquently put here because I spent my whole holiday working on the documentary and stuff, and then I kind of got burnt out. But then I just went back to university, and even though I went to university still burned out, I decided to make a video, so I'm probably just gonna fall over after this. Also, kind of funny story, when I was on the train for my first day back, just going to uni like I do on the same train route, I got there and then I was really tired, so there's like a bunch of like stores where you can buy food and stuff right by the train station. So I bought like this frozen raspberry puree thing that was like slushied up in one of those containers, and I just chugged it. You know when you freeze stuff and it's like all of the flavors in it and everything are like super intense after you freeze it? Yeah, I just chugged it to shock myself into being awake because I was so tired, and it kind of worked, but then I regretted it immensely afterwards. So if you take anything from this video, do not chug frozen puree because you will die.